He'll be coming for you. He'll be gunning for you. Hearts beating to the rhythm of the war drum. Oh, oh, oh. Tying nooses at the gallows, checking names off the docket. Oh, oh, oh. I got a letter from the man and a bullet with your name on it. Charles got a fist made of steel that he forged from the chains that his fathers wore. Seven Spencer rounds putting bodies in the ground, contract signed and he's back for more. He'll be coming for you. He'll be gunning for you. Hearts beating to the rhythm of the war drum. Oh, oh, oh. Tying nooses at the gallows, checking names off the docket. Oh, oh, oh. I got a letter from the man and a bullet with your name on it. Checking names off the docket. Oh, oh, oh. I got a letter from the man and a bullet with your name on it. Oh, oh, oh. Tying nooses at the gallows, checking names off the docket. Oh, oh, oh. I got a letter from the man and a bullet with your name on it.
Hey!
What's going on, guys?
Welcome back to Van Philosophy. This is episode number
32?
32, I think, man.
Is it 32?
I think it's 32.
32 or 33, something like that.
It would have been more if we wouldn't have stopped last year, but it's,
Yeah.
you know, we needed to.
Yeah.
We got a weird topic today. Not really that weird. It's more familiar for us.
It's familiar
really.
for us, but it might be weird for some people.
Might be weird for some people, but we're talking about songwriting and how we write songs and how others might write songs, all that kind of stuff. If you guys have any questions about specific songs or anything, make sure you leave it down in the comments.
And if you have any stories about how you write songs, it doesn't have to be songs. It can be poetry or short stories or
books,
something.
Anything. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to share it. But before we get into our What's Up, we do have a show coming up in Atlanta, the Oyster Fest, the Festival of Oysters. That's February 26th, and some people were asking, we're playing at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Also, fun fact is that the new cover for Patreon is, I think, maybe wrapped up. I got to finish mixing, and then we're going to shoot Saturday. And Kyle said, right? Saturday's good?
Think
Saturday's
so.
It's good. And also, we did record a really cool audio-only version of Van Philosophy while we were out on the road over the weekend. One of the topic, I think, a special dude that we saw for 2 nights will appreciate that one. And the shows were great.
Yeah. It felt really good.
Shows were awesome.
It felt really great.
Going back up to Montrose, man, like, just it felt like home. I haven't been up there. We haven't been up there in like what, 2 years?
Yeah, at least 2 years.
It was about 2 years, and it went really well. Saw some familiar faces. Got to play our songs. Got to hang out.
And the loft was cool too. I love the crowd there. It's just like, I was like, these are all my people. Like, it's a great scene there.
It really is, you know. I know they were saying that they're not doing a lot of bands here and there, but like, I always want to play that place when we go to Augusta. Like, it feels, it's like another home.
Yeah.
It's really great. So What have you been up to since we got home? What have you been doing?
I got some really good sleep.
Yeah?
I forgot like,
How much did you sleep?
well, like I normally get like 7 hours of sleep. That's
Sure.
about what I get. But like, I think when I got back, it was like, I got 12 hours of sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, being on the road, like I don't want to say like it's exhausting because that seems like such a negative word.
Yeah.
But you like, so much energy comes out of you and then you sleep so well.
Right. Well, plus it was so cold. Mm-hmm. Which I forgot how bad that like really takes a toll on you.
Yeah, when it's cold, and yeah, like and load in and load out, yeah, and then you deal with that for a couple days.
Doing this for like 3
Yeah.
hours straight.
Yeah. So I slept great. But on top of that, with the special podcast I went through, and I didn't have to edit too much because we wanted it to run continuous without any crazy editing. But there was like you go over like train tracks and you're like, well, we'll cut that out.
Remember we hit that pause. Oops. The microphone just bounced.
Actually, I think I did leave that in there. I was able to soften that just so it could be, because it was fun listening back because it was like, oh, hang on a second, we gotta turn left. Yeah. And oh, it's starting to snow or like whatever it was. Yeah. So it was kind of cool, like the little interruptions, and you can actually hear the the van engine in the background. Yeah. And like, so it's cool. I'm really glad that it worked out and we got to do that.
Yeah, like actually capturing the real deal, like what we normally do, like where the whole concept of this thing comes up.
And then other than that, we got a couple more shows on the books this week. And they're on our personal calendar, but they'll get on the everybody's calendar and here soon. So. Yeah.
Cool.
So what have you been up to since you got back?
I literally, like, when we got home and we unloaded, I hung out for like a minute, and then I like laid on the bed, went in and out of sleep. I was like, no, I'm gonna get on the couch, and then I got on the couch and I laid down and I passed out.
You watched 4 minutes of a show. And
yeah, I was out, and then I ended up waking up like late. It was like maybe 10:30, 11. Went back to got back in my room and went back to sleep and slept all night. Yeah, and I really needed it. Again, like, 'cause you forget, like, the cold, dude. My muscles, like, I was literally going to pick up my vape, going like, oh, yeah. It's like so heavy. Doing that, I've been helping my brother up at the shop. Get all that stuff. We went up there and did like some super deep cleaning and organizing the shelves and all that kind of stuff. That and trying to finish up this cover, which like I showed Kyle before we started this thing, and he gave me that's pretty good. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know, like it's not totally mixed, but I was like, that sounds really good. Like, it sounds like it's pretty much mixed.
Yeah, there's just a couple little tweaks here and there. We are cozy, Rachel, by the way. And real quick, what's up, Steve, Nancy, and Rachel? Thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. Nancy says, great shows last week. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, y'all.
Thank you. God. It meant so much to see all you guys. And, seeing the Bishops for 2 days straight is like a blessing. It's a real treat, man. So let's get into our topic. Again, if you guys have questions or stories you want to share, be sure to put them there in the comments so we can see them. But to start it out, let's get a little bit of history of like music, history of the world.
Yeah. Okay, so songwriting, I looked it up. Songwriting is actually a verb. And it's funny, like when you actually say songwriting as a verb, it's the activity of writing popular songs or the music for them.
So not us.
So it's like, you think you're doing songwriting, but if it's not popular, it's something else.
Yeah. Get a new job.
No, I found that, we think that humans have been making music for 35,000 years. And the reason we think that is they're able to date like flutes that they found. And they found this flute in Germany that is made out of mammoth tusk. And so that's kind of how they were able to surmise like how long it's been around.
Right.
And then also there's like, some cave drawings of like people playing instruments. And then, later, I think it's like, 10,000 years people started, making things out of like stone and metal. I found this thing called a lithophone. And it's basically like litho meaning stone. It's a bunch of different stones that you put and kind of make like a primitive piano.
Oh,
you
right.
hit the stone.
Yeah.
And it makes this tone, and this one you lay them all in a row.
One of the strains that they say was 35,000 years is what they guesstimate.
Yeah.
Because, like, to me, I would assume that, like, as humans, we just have always made music, even if we didn't have instruments, like
Yeah.
singing together, chanting together, something, because it's very communal, brings people together, especially if you're, like, living in a tribal type situation. I mean, that's why, like, if you're into, like, metal music or anything like that, why it's such a draw for people is because it really has that feeling of, like, tribalism, and everybody's, like, chanting together, and it's, like, this community-based thing. So I would assume, like, since humans,
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if, like, orangutans or chimps or anything, like, sing together or anything.
Maybe. It's kind of like when you go outside, I know, like, you hear, like, birds chirping at each other.
Right.
And you kind of wonder, be like, are they just talking?
Yeah.
Or are they singing? Because,
Yeah.
like, to us, they're singing. We say birds sing.
Sure.
And so maybe there might not really be much difference.
Right.
It might just be, like, it's the emotion that you put into your communication is what makes the song.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I did find some other thing, too, that they thought that the first lyres... because of the way that they were made very similar to, like, bow and arrows.
Liars?
Yeah. They're like primitive violins, but they think that it...
They're also really bad people.
Right. Yeah. And I might not be saying... It might be pronounced like lyre or something.
Well, there was different
but, like,
versions of them. There was
Yeah.
different version of liars. There was the CNN, the Fox, and... I'm just kidding.
That went over my head just,
Yeah.
just for a second. Just for a second. All these liars out there.
Well, there's different kinds. different types.
But it's kind of funny how, like, it does seem like, you know, humans kind of, you discover music and be like, oh, I can do that. Because there's probably some guy that had a bow and arrow and it went, boom. And it went like, oh, that's cool. I'd probably do like 2 or 3 of these and make cooler sounds, you know?
Yeah. You see, Nancy says here, they were whistling before they figured out how to make a flute, right?
Yeah.
They had to have, you know? But we do get asked a lot, like, who writes our songs? Any guesses? You can put in the comments. Let's wait.
Let's just wait. You gotta wait for the delay. It's be
Yeah.
like, who writes the songs?
Who writes the songs? Nothing? Anybody?
Well, we both do.
We both do.
We both do.
Yeah, we both do. Like, it depends on, like, how they come up. And I think that's what's so awesome is that, like, having, like, two minds that, like, we both write songs in a way that, like, where a lot of bands have, like, one specific person that writes a song, and it might take them a little bit longer, or they have, like, a certain dullness to, like, it's this way. All the songs kind of sound this way because
there's one writer.
writing them. It's like one of the Beatles, man. The Beatles had, like, everybody writing songs.
Yeah.
And they had all these cool songs.
Yeah.
Barry Manilow, he writes the songs.
He writes them all.
Yeah. That's a fact.
I always thought that was kind of... There's a lot of artists that, like, someone else writes their songs.
Yeah.
And, you know, part of me goes like, oh, that'd be cool. And you'd be like, they just hand it to you.
Hand
Like,
it
there
to
you go, it's done.
Cool, I'm done.
But part of me goes like, I don't know how to feel about that. You
No,
know?
I mean, well, writing is like it's therapy, man. You know, it really is. 'Cause, like, if I don't know, I feel like if I didn't have songwriting, there'd be so many things in my life that would have either I wouldn't have gotten over or would have taken me way longer to figure out. You know, like, it not only just writing them, but, like, writing them and reliving the experience every time you perform. It's like exposure therapy, if anybody's, like, familiar with that. Because, like, you write about, like, an intense part of your life or a situation, or even, like, good ones, even positive. And as you play these songs over and over, you're, like, reliving them. You know, so when you're in the moment performing the songs, you're constantly reminding yourself of this person that you were at that point in time, or whatnot. Even if it's like a fictional story, you connect something to it. And then the more and more times that you go through those motions and through those songs, lyrics, and feelings, it becomes easier to deal with, like, traumas and...
Yeah, it's like conditioning. You remind yourself that you survived that
Yeah.
kind of a thing every time.
Every time you play
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if I've ever really consciously thought that, but I know a lot of times when we're playing, what I see in my head, if for some reason like I just kind of get caught up, a lot of times I'll see the notebook that I wrote the lyrics down on to help myself remember the lyrics.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, where it's like I remember writing this song, and that's like what gets etched in, and you know, almost every time we play, like that might just flash, even if it's just for a second.
Right.
So yeah, it kind of like it makes this like time capsule.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
It is, yeah, it's strange. It's just like even for someone who doesn't write songs, like a song could be your high school crush, or a song could be, oh man, when we were hanging out with our buddies, we were in that car that one time, we were driving down to, where was it? And you know what I mean? Like you're just,
yeah.
It's like this whole like sensory thing that takes you back to those moments. But as a songwriter and stuff, it is that.
Well,
therapy.
I know a lot of people ask like, what is the moment of like when you're starting to, like when you're not writing a song and then you're writing a song, like what's the first thing
Right.
that happens? And for me, a lot of times, like it's like an earworm, and the earworm, it could just be lyrics that I can't get out of my head, like I'm just saying this one thing, or it's this beat, or it's, you know, a riff or something. But a lot of times it usually happens in the car I'm driving, and then and something just enters your brain, and then usually if it's there all day, then I'm like, okay, when I get home, I'm gonna try something.
Try to
with
flesh it out.
you know.
Right.
But a lot of times it seems like they just flesh themselves out, where it's like if you just keep humming it, like more will come if that's what's gonna happen. Because a lot of times I'll get earworms, and then I'll be like, oh, nothing's happening with it, so.
Right.
You know, but then it might come back, you know, maybe even a year later. I'll be like, oh, I remember I was humming this thing for a long time a year ago, and it never materialized, and now I'm ready for it.
Now it's here. Now I got it. Yeah. No, it is weird, like how songs get started or where they get rooted from, because it happens in so many different ways. Like whether you're saying like an earworm, or even just like sitting down and producing something, like making some beat, and then it somehow becomes this bigger thing, a guitar riff, some kind of melody that you're just humming around. But a lot of it does kind of root from that earworm thing, because like something out there, we'll talk a little bit about this more later, but something out there like gives you that. Mm-hmm. And if it sticks, it sticks, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Because I know sometimes I've been like, what was that again?
And you're like, I don't know. I guess
I
it wasn't important.
I had to accept that it wasn't good enough, because
you didn't remember
I didn't remember it. If it was awesome, I would have remembered it. Have you ever had like those times where you've woken up and you had a song?
Yes. So recently, with when we were writing "Criminal," we had 2 verses, and I think we had it. We were kind of getting down almost to production. We weren't quite there, but we're like, we're going to start thinking about, you know, forming this song and recording it, because it's mostly there. And I went to bed and woke up, and luckily there was a notebook right next to me, and it was like, get this 3rd verse out before you forget what it was, because apparently it came in a dream.
Right.
That happened with "Criminal," and it also happened with the verse for "Neighbors." I know, because I remember you had written the chorus to "Neighbors."
Yeah.
And you were
it was
like,
an earworm.
You were like, I can't get this out of my head. It goes, we don't care what the neighbors say.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't get it out of my head. I keep singing it to myself every day. We got to do something with it. And I remember, I think I had written like a verse that would go with it. And we sat down and we're like, it's a good verse, but it needs to be a different song.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's just not quite there.
It was trying to like force this thing.
Yeah.
And to fit it, and then you had that other piece, and it was like, wait, why don't you just sing? And you're like, no, I don't know. And then you're like, oh, I guess it fits, you know?
Yeah. And then I remember like it may have very well been the next day. I remember waking up and being like, I had this weird ass dream, and I remembered all of it.
No, it was simultaneously. From what I remember, is that you already had that written.
I already had that written down.
Yeah, and then you tried to write something new for this, and it didn't work for "Neighbors," and then It was like, hey, why don't you just try that thing that you were showing me earlier? And you're like, it won't fit. And I'm like,
yeah, I was like, you don't understand. That's a weird dream I had.
Yeah,
this isn't a song.
Yeah,
but like but I mean, it was a poem, I guess, because it rhymed and stuff. But I just didn't think it would fit on that meter or whatever I thought. But yeah, I had this really weird dream, and I think I kind of remember because it's like the witch's token. I remember like I had this weird dream where this witch was following me, and it was like here. It was like that in the book Treasure Island where he gets the black spot. You know, it's like here, take this.
Yeah.
And I remember someone told me if something happens in a dream that you don't like, just walk away or get rid of it or something because it will. It's not what you think. There is a way out, you know, and it's teaching you something about your subconscious. And something in the dream was telling me I had to hold on to this weird token thing that was going to end my existence or whatever the dream was, where it was going. And I just went like, no, I'm gonna throw it away.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up and then I was like, that's weird. I'm gonna write this down, you know, and then it fit. Yeah, and that was cool. Yeah.
Nancy's got a question here. Have you ever had songwriter's block? And she also says, didn't y'all try Neighbors at a higher octave?
Yeah.
Let's do the second one first because we were just talking about that. Neighbors, yeah, we tried it 3 different ways.
I remember because you had written the chorus and you were like, I hear it like this. And like I got the piano out and I was like, well, I kind of wanted to get either the basic structure of what it was. I know we do that a lot where it's like, just make it 4 chords. Yeah. And it probably won't be that later, but just make it so you can remember how it goes.
Right.
And it was like, that was the key it was in. And then I remembered like taking it back and be like, this is too high. I can't.
Well, we did perform it live like that a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And it was like,
I just remember just like, I'm wrecking my voice singing the song.
Well, it wasn't, not only was it like a little bit, like it was right there at the top of your range, but it's also like, it just didn't sound like you.
Yeah, it was like the screaming version of me.
Yeah, there was something wrong with it. And then we tried to do it at like a lower octave. I think we went down
we went way down low.
Yeah. And then it was weird. Which there is a lower key version of that on
Flat Tops.
Flat Tops and Wooden Boxes. That just came about however it came about. We have no idea how those songs got formed. But we have the songs, but how we did perform them there, they just kind of happened.
There's the MIDI controller here. Okay, so we were, in this case, Flat Tops, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. It went down 5 steps.
Yeah.
And you can hear that version. So now the version, it just went down 1 full step.
1 full step.
Or 2 half steps, however you want to look at it.
And that
perfect. Felt right.
It was just right. Nancy says here, the first time I heard it though, the first time I heard it, I thought it was an obscure cover. It's some weird. It's Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It was kind of, I remember that song, we were like, how is this going to fit on the record? And then we wrote, maybe I don't have to. And it was like, oh, we have there's 2 weird ones on there that are kind of away from everything else.
Well, Neighbors fit that mold either way because like the vibe it ended up having, you know, and the meaning that was behind it. That's the things that to me is most important about songs is like where it has the stories, whether that be outside of ourselves or from within ourselves, you know, going through things like water heaters exploding and thoughts of neighbors judging you and weird things, you know what I mean?
That was, I remember we were talking about like, oh, the neighbors, like they must think I'm crazy because I'm like, they have to hear the bass of mixing stuff at night, you know, and they're like, what, is he like party all night? And he's like, no, I'm just trying to work when I can.
Sure.
And I remember, I had a hot water heater explode and went like, the waters are coming down.
Yeah. You know? The waters are coming down.
I wanted to ask you, because a lot of times one of us will come up with something and we'll be like, here, take the rest of it, and then come back and then I'll add more. But every once in a while, one of us will have a pretty much complete idea and then hand it to the other one. And I know Panic was like that, where I came into the studio one day and you were like, I wrote this song, but I don't have any lyrics for it. Take it, let me know what you think.
Well, I had like, 2 lines?
Yeah, and you had the opening lines.
The opening lines.
You were like, I don't have, I have hello, sweet confidence, beware your ignorance. And you're
Yeah.
like, and that's all I have.
That's all I have.
And
Yeah.
you were like, let me know what you think. And I remember I was like, I want to work on this.
Yeah.
Like, please bounce this down now. I want to take it home tonight. But I wanted to ask you, like, what was your process in coming up with all that and the tonality? And because the piece does have this, it like takes you on this ride, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about before. Kyle and I both we have different kind of musical backgrounds. Kyle has more of a classical thought process where he could tell you like all the notes. Like me personally, I have no idea. If it just sounds good, it sounds good. That's how I've always been. I don't know. Like with Panic, I was in a really dark place. If you remember, like it was during all of the those panic attack things I was dealing with, and everything that was going on that year with the pandemic and being isolated and dealing with all that weird high blood pressure stuff. And I was trying to figure out outlets, you know. And I know we were working on the record. We got to finish up the record. And I don't quite know if it was planned. I think if I'm trying to remember, I remember just making it, as silly as that sounds, and
Well, do you like?
was given.
Do you think when something like that happens, because you're a drummer, do you think of the beat first, or do you think of just whatever comes to you first?
On that one, it was more of an expression of making it sonically express the way I felt. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't trying to say it. Like I had that one line.
Yeah.
And what you did with the lyrics, by the way, after I handed it to you, like that was exactly what I wanted in my head, you know. But I was just trying to create this thing that sounded sonically the way I felt. I mean, even the way it's like this eerie feeling at the beginning, and then it's like, and it has that sense of panic into it, and then it drops off real quick, and it kind of builds you back up to that, you know, and then you kind of overcome it there at the end. And the beat structure for the chorus was actually from a thing that I think I did a couple of times, and you were doing it with me during our jams. Yeah. It was kind of inspired from that. Remember we always talked about, we should do something with that. But it was just trying to sonically express how I felt. And that's really how that came to be. None of it was planned. None of it was thought out. The key, I couldn't tell you what it was in. I have no idea. But that's...
I think it's B flat minor. Or no,
Yeah.
No, it's E flat minor.
Yeah.
E flat minor.
And I think that's what's great. I mean, honestly, like, because being able to do that with someone, I feel so lucky, Kyle.
Aw, I feel lucky too.
Because
I was telling my friend that the other day. I was like, dude, I get to write whatever I want, and then there's someone that just makes it better.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really cool.
Isn't that cool?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because, like, I had, like, that one line, and then I gave it to you, and it was not my, like, the guitar part. Like, that's, again, songwriting, okay? There's all kinds of different things. I didn't write Kyle's guitar part. He wrote the guitar part.
Yeah, there wasn't guitar on it.
I gave him suggestions on the staccato of the chorus, I think. Yeah. But that's it. I wasn't like, do this thing. You know, that wasn't all there. So we still both wrote that, just like everything else gets both written.
I know Nancy asked about writer's block, and like,
yeah.
I get writer's block all the time, and you know, to be honest, I had a little bit of writer's block with Panic, just because I was really excited about this piece that we had. And I really liked that line, but when I would sit down with, like, I wrote it out because I was like, I think this is just how it's going to open up. It was the first thing that was thought of, so let's at least get into that zone. And I remember being like, I don't know if I would say things that way. So if someone says something like that to me, like, how would I follow up? And like, so I went down different rabbit holes. And I remember, you know, whatever the lyrics were, it was like 13 other things before it was that. But I know when I experience writer's block, I'll do one of three things to try to get out of it. If I know that the piece is worth writing, because a lot of times I'll take writer's block as like it's not worth doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a good enough idea for you to just be like, I'm excited and I'm going to do it. But like, all the excitement was there, and I was like, I'm not really sure what to do. So when that does happen a lot, and if the piece is worth writing, I'll either try to immerse myself in like I'll pick one emotion, and then I will try to describe that emotion 6, 10, 30 ways. You know, of like.
So you're more like I'll push through.
Yeah, just kind of like well, it's not more of like a push through. It's just like if it's an emotionally driven song, I try to like become my own thesaurus, if that makes sense. Where it's like, okay, you know.
That's a dinosaur, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a dinosaur that gives you ideas.
That gives you ideas.
Yeah. So I'll do that, but sometimes that doesn't work. And a lot of times I will try to imagine a place that the song is about, and you know, it'll be like, let's say it's a song about being in a bar. So I'll think of a bar, and then I'll be like, okay, it's an empty bar, but people come to the bar, so who's there? And I'll be like, well, there's this girl that's really drunk, waving to her friends. Be like, and there's this guy that's trying to build up the confidence to ask out that girl, and there's a bartender that is so sick of everyone's shit, and I just fill up the room, and then I'll describe those people, and then that usually is good for a couple cool lines, you know.
A brain purge. Exactly. Yeah.
And what was the other thing I said that I do? I'll just say if I go like, this song is about this, and I want to say this, I'll just write that down, and then shape it and make it rhyme or fit later. But I've noticed a lot of times, like, it doesn't have to rhyme. Like our song Trust, I love the way that song is, but the chorus doesn't rhyme.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which is funny.
Yeah.
You guys should hear the original version of Trust. It was because I remember Kyle giving me his pre-production on that one, and it was like almost like a reggae acoustic song.
Yeah.
And
And
it came across kind of like, no, there's no offense, but it came across kind of corny. But the way the message of the song though, I teared up a couple times listening to it. It's just like whenever we did Another Way to Die, I remember like being like, oh my god. And then what was it? I remember getting some of the stuff and then telling you to go back and do like some self-reflection on that one, and kind of internalize a little bit more, because you had that where you're like writing this about your daughter and those feelings.
Yeah, I wanted it to be a story of solely looking at someone else and not looking at yourself.
Right.
And then you were like, I want to make sure that we put us into this song.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of went back and tailored some of the lyrics to kind of it still has some of that perspective there, you know, but right. I think it has a lot more perspective than it did. It was kind of like linear, I guess, when it was first written.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really dig it. Can you expand on that, Nancy? Do you think you were too close to write it all? Like what you mean by that question? Maybe.
I think you were too close to write.
Do you know what she means?
Yeah, let us know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what she means.
I was gonna ask you about Criminal, but you already gave us the whole spiel on it.
Yeah, well, I remember...
Because that was the one where you brought me, like, your pre-production, where it was like, you had the song laid out, and...
I remember it, I was like... I remember I saw this story, and I can't remember what it was, but a guy was getting arrested for collecting rainwater. And it was like a local news story. It was like towns. It wasn't even in Georgia, I want to say, but I just remember it like the story came up, and this guy was like, "I'm gonna go to City Hall and fight this because like they're arresting me because I'm doing this."
Right.
And I remember being like, "You gotta drink from my well," you know what I mean? Like thinking like the audacity of someone to be like, "No, like you're gonna get water this way, because I own you."
Right.
You know?
It is illegal, I think.
Yeah,
even,
in most places.
Most places, yeah.
It's insane how much stuff is illegal that you might not even know about.
Yeah.
So I kind of just, found weird laws that I thought were weird, and was just like, yeah, that's dumb and that's stupid, and why are we like this, and why do we accept this, and why do we put people in office that think that this is right? And so I just remember just going through all that, and then I wanted to make it menacing. So I thought that I would be like, I'm gonna do this in the first person, that like I'm the person that's making all of these rules,
Right.
and I'm gonna make you all of my slaves.
But
and my
yeah, it
puppet,
gives
you
it
know?
that uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like, you know, you worry about the monster under your bed, but like, you know, we deal with monsters every day, and they're on your television set talking to you.
So
you
that
know?
one started out like lyrical based first.
Yeah, I remember like, you got to drink from my well. You know, I remember like that was in my head for like a day. Like, you got to drink from my well. Don't you dig your own.
Right.
You know? And I think later I saw like, you know, like, or heard someone being like, man, you know, I can go get penicillin at the feed store
Yeah.
for $4, you know, and it's for my dog, but I got to go through this whole ordeal if I get an ear infection or if I get strep throat, you know, and I got to pay $200 on my copay.
Right.
And I was like, you got to buy my drugs.
Right.
And I was like, because some guy that goes out in the woods and cooks up something, or, you know, or someone that's growing plants
Yeah.
in their backyard,
Sure.
like, that's illegal. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But chemically, it's the same stuff.
Right.
You know, it's just, but it has to go through this process. So it was like, you got to buy my drugs. You got to drink my water. You know, you got to listen to what I say, because I'm going to censor everybody else. So it's just like all the things that were kind of happening that kind of come up as we become more connected, and we go, yeah, that's kind of messed up, but that's a rule. And so, yeah, it was very, very, very lyrically driven.
Yeah, during that point, I remember being very like a lot of political turmoil going on at the time too, socially, and that's one of the big reasons why we were like, we got to hurry that one up and get a video out. Nancy, you're talking about writing panic. You know, maybe it's that. Maybe it was being too close to it all. I'm not 100%. Like, it's strange. Like, going back, I think, if anything, I don't think I would have been able to express it as well as Kyle did.
Aw.
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 Well, I mean, because it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, that's exactly what was supposed to be there.
Well, that happens a lot too, where it's like you can only take things so far.
Yeah.
Even if you write an entire song, and like with me is if I go like, hey, I wrote a song, it's because I have a verse and a chorus.
Right.
Because I know we can write a second verse together.
Yeah.
You know, and I know we can figure out a bridge, or I know you'll be like, well, let's put a guitar solo in this one.
Yeah.
Or let's do a sample, or whatever it is. So anytime I go, I wrote a song, it's never a whole song. If we look at, you know, songs, or even if there's a song where I go like, I wrote all of the lyrics to it and I brought it to you.
Right.
Like, I can't ever say like, yeah, I finished all of that, because like, it wouldn't be that song if you're like, nope, Kyle, you have to go produce it on your own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it would sound totally different.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you know, we can see that like when I hand you prelims, I'll be like, it's kind of like this. I think it should be somewhat like this. And sometimes the end result is close, but it's usually not. They're usually like it has to keep going. And
Right. Well, a lot of the things that happens is like, you might hear like a drum beat, for instance, and you give yourself that to kind of work with as you're lyrically trying to hit different beats within the measure. So you want to have this thing to guide you, and then you hand it to me, and if like, sometimes like it's just because that's the beat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if it happens to mirror what was on the preliminary stuff, it's because like that's what it's supposed to be. You heard it too.
Yeah, it's like you heard it too. Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to change something just for the sake of changing it and be like, I put my finger on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I claim that. Like,
so many bands do that.
A lot of bands
like,
do
I put
that.
my finger on this.
Yeah, and like I don't think that's the right way to go. You know, and especially as drummers, I know a lot of drummers, and a lot of drummers seem to overthink things. They try to be like, how am I gonna make this interesting,
really
do this
complicated
thing? Yeah. And it's like you gotta play to the song. You got to let the song be the song, not like the drums, then listen to, you know, like all these separate things that kind of do this. It's more like this one thing. I truly believe in that. Like when it comes to like good songwriting and the good songs, things should let things breathe. Like your guitar parts don't need to be some like whoa thing that just like goes insane, or the synthesizers don't need to just like ruin everything, or the vocals don't need to be like this thing. It's like whatever it ends up being, you let it be what it is. I know that sounds ridiculous, you guys. That might sound, but you let it, because like a song when you're writing it, it will take its own shape, and you have to like allow it to do that thing, no matter if it's that or like the stuff I was showing you earlier, like of where I'm at on that. And sometimes it's frustrating because you're like, I want to do this thing. I want to try this.
That thing doesn't want to be done.
And that thing doesn't want to be done.
Yeah.
So you just have to let it be what it is.
Well, I know, like with like writing, since we're like kind of talking about writing parts now. I know I talked about it, like I'll send you a text. You'll be like, hey, where are you on that? And I'll be like, I got the bones. And like we'll say that to each other a lot. Where it's like, I'm like, I know these 4 chords fit in that song, or I think I have the bass riff down or something. Like I think I have the direction of where it's going to go, but that means like there's no production on it.
Right.
So I know like when I get into production, like you're saying, we call it a scratch track, where it means like it's just something to lay down on the session.
It means it's usually going to be scratched and thrown away.
You're not going to use it. So a lot of times I'll just put one microphone in the room and I'll get an acoustic guitar and I'll just sing it from beginning to end. So then that way I have markers of when I'm going to write parts. I go, okay, well this part's going to go here and this part's going to go here. And then I know that I haven't put it in the wrong spot because I have a reference track.
Right.
And then usually right after I make my reference track, I'll try to make a beat, because that kind of helps me feel like, it helps me write my parts. And I know...
It makes him do this too.
I know a lot of times I go like, I don't know why I'm spending time creating a beat for this song when I know it's a scratch beat. You know, I know nothing is going to get kept, but it kind of helps me like imagine what you would do with it. And then what I need to go do with it.
Right.
And
well, knowing each other the way we do, like we can kind of like make assumptions.
Yeah, I'll be like, I think Jay will do something like this.
Yeah.
Maybe not exactly this, but
Right.
I think he would do this. So I'm gonna kind of lay this down so that I can work off of it. Yeah.
Has anyone ever? This is Nancy here. She asks, has anyone ever handed y'all a poem or lyrics and asked you to build a song out of it? That just happened recently.
Yeah, we did get a commission job.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that long ago. That was fun.
Yeah.
And
It was a special project.
it's happened a few times. Like we've gotten emails. I know, like on our website, there's like a little. It's hard to find, but there's a little disclaimer being like, "Hey, if you send us something, like, we're not asking anyone specifically to like send us content to use.
Yeah.
So you can, but please don't get mad if we don't do anything with it.
Right.
You know, and if we do something with it, or if we do something and you think it's kind of like the thing you sent us, like, don't get mad at that either.
Yeah, we've had some people send us like bizarre stuff.
People will be like, hey, I wrote this, like, you should do this. And I remember there was one guy for a while that it was like every week he's like, hey, I wrote this, you know, will you write a song for this? And I was like, well, if the muse comes, sure, but
Right.
it's kind of like you said, like songs, that first initial little spark has to just kind of happen, and it's kind of hard to describe.
Nancy says, is it hard? It's a good question. I mean, is it?
Is it hard, like, to do like commission work?
My,
Is that what she
I have
means?
I'm a 4-year-old. I
I
apologize.
It's hard.
Is it hard? Let's see.
I think it is hard. It's semi-hard.
Oh, sorry.
It is
Nancy.
hard. It is hard if someone is really excited about something, and they go, "I want you to do something with this," and you're not expecting it, and you're not in that frame of mind, and like, because usually the answer is no.
Yeah.
Anytime someone's been like, "Hey, I wrote a song," I like, my usual response is like, "Good for you, keep writing it. Like, it's
Right.
yours."
Oh, yeah.
You know? If you want help, like, I have had some people saying like, "I need help. I don't play guitar. I kind of want it to go like this," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I think these 4 chords would work. Like, here you go. Like, you know, let me know if you want me to play it for you sometime, or
Right.
you can take it to someone else.
Yeah.
Like I definitely love helping people with stuff, and like I have some friends that'll call me up and they'll be like, hey, I recorded this thing, will you listen to it for me and let me know your thoughts, and I will, and I love doing stuff like that. But when it is like an expectation of commission, it is kind of like, I don't know, like, because I don't want to wreck your ideas either.
Well,
know?
it depends on
Like,
if you connect with it.
Yeah.
It can be difficult. It usually if it's that you try to step away from it. You really don't connect with it, but if you connect with it, then
yeah.
you got it. I like her little emojis right
Mm-hmm.
there. Sorry, we're children.
She's like, I meant difficult.
Yeah, we're children. I'm sorry.
It's also difficult.
Now, what's your thoughts on the Muse, man? Because like, personally, that's how a lot of the stuff that I do is done. And if you're not familiar with the Muse, the idea is that there's this. Well, that's what we call it anyway, the Muse.
Yeah.
But that there's this. The way I understand it, the way I think that it is there's some kind of ether that kind of connects all of us together, and it also carries inspiration and things that get delivered and funneled into our brains. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think it happens.
I'll say at the expense of sounding weird as fuck.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I met her, and this is like a very, very deep spiritual thing. During the pandemic and all of the weird emotions that you have, I decided that I was going to start running. And a buddy of mine told me, he's like, I got this fitness challenge I'm doing, and it's really cool. Why don't you do it too? And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So, and we were also doing the like 1 meal a day, and I was running, 5 or 6 miles every day, and sometimes more. And through all of the stress and then adding stress on your body too, I met someone out there.
Right.
And, it was just kind of this like female goddess energy. And she seemed very patient, but she kind of like told me like, I've been waiting for you to come out here and find me, and now you're finally here. And I have some things to give you. And, a lot of songs came from that. But I always felt that there was something there that was like, that would just feed you little things, and it was so far away and you could never see what it was. But I did feel like I actually got the chance during the pandemic to meet what that is, or what I, pieced together what that is in my own mind,
Sure,
right. And gave it, a persona.
Right.
But it was just this very like patient being that was like, I want you to do better for yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're here, and you're only gonna meet me if you're trying to make things better.
Well, I know whenever I heard some writings from Nikola Tesla, when he was talking about he didn't come up with the ideas for any of his inventions, that they were given to him, and it was some kind of like cosmic force that he was able to tap into. I was like, so I'm not crazy, okay?
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, okay, other people like, yeah, because I was like, yeah, you feel a little crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when you embrace it. You can try to dismiss it and be like, oh, well, that's just my brain making connections and doing this thing.
Right. Being creative and
Yeah.
creating these things from inside. But, I mean, a lot of our music and a lot of, like, the edits and productions and things happen on the whim. And it's like we were talking about Panic earlier and the way that happened. I went into it with intention. I couldn't tell you how I got that far. It just happened. Like I said, it was kind of handed, and you kind of just make it.
Yeah, it's like
I know this stuff sounds bizarre.
The simplest way of describing it is like there's someone there, and she won't always give you everything.
Yeah.
She'll just be like, "Here, take this," and you're like, "What is this?" And she'll be like, "Open it up."
Yeah.
And that's like the easiest way of like, this stranger that loves you is giving you something, but you don't really know who she is.
Right.
And like, yeah, that's that's totally songwriting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
But again, I love writing songs. I love just being creative. I think that that's one of the best gifts ever given to existence is just the ability to create, the ability to share that with others and connect in that way. No matter if that's creating a painting, a book, writings, videos, anything, just creating, dinner. You know, cooking for your family or cooking for your friends, any of that. I think that is one of the things I am most grateful for in this world, in this existence here. And the whole idea of the music, I know it sounds crazy to you guys. Probably does. Hopefully it doesn't sound too crazy. Hopefully some of you guys understand what we're talking about here. But I'm grateful that has some sort of what's the word I'm looking for here? Influence on my life. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, if you guys have any more questions or anything, make sure you leave it in the comments there. But real quick, we want to remind everybody that we've got merch available over there on storefrontier.com/Roshambeaux. All sizes are not guaranteed. Kyle's a liar.
But it might be. You have to click the link to find out.
You have to click the link below in the description to find out. But we've got a bunch of new stuff over there that we weren't able to print out for tour. But also we will be printing and or providing new art and new t-shirt designs soon. We're really looking forward to that. Trying to do some stuff kind of album based. But yeah, so what's our whole thing, man? I mean, it's not really like we don't really have a wrap up on this one.
Yeah, it's more like that's kind of how we do. And lots of people
have different
methods of how they write a song.
Yeah.
Some people, they only write the lyrics first because that's what's the most important to them. Or some people, they only write, the music first, and then they pepper in the lyrics because it shouldn't have anything to do with the lyrics to them.
Yeah.
Whatever your method is, it's cool. Like,
by the way, Steve there in the comments, I would like to reach out and ask you, what's your method? I know that you've actually written a couple books, and if you would share some insight on that, that would be really awesome. If we could hear about that. Yeah. Because I've personally never written a book. I've had ideas about it. I have a really strong idea that I can't share publicly because it's like $1 billion idea. Shared it with you before. So you're going to help me write it one day.
I remember writing short stories as a kid, and it was funny because I just have some of them, and then I would take all of the writing classes I could in like high school or college, and then because they'd always be like, well, you have to write this kind of story or write this kind of thing, and then I would just take it and hand it in and be like, oh, I don't have to do homework if I take that class,
Right.
And I remember there was one or two that I thought were pretty good, but they were only a couple pages long, and I remember being like, I don't know how I could make this a book because it's I finished it, it's only so many pages, And
another fun fact of today is that it's raining. And it's vlog day. But I think the streams held up all right. And I think we had a couple little bumps.
It rains because he's sad, baby.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, we love y'all. Oh, thank you, Nancy. No, you have no idea how grateful we are for you guys and all that you guys do. We really appreciate that. It seems like the feeling is mutual, and that means a lot to us. Speaking of mutual, that's a segue for Patreon.
Patreon.
Thanks to everybody that's over there on Patreon. You guys are the reason we're able to continue to do all of these things, to continue to do vlogs and videos, and just allowing us to be able to create instead of having to fill our lives full of things that prohibit us from having the time to do such things.
I meant to mention earlier, I forgot, in this week's blog, the whole topic of the blog this week was that we released our version of Living in America this week. And that was chosen by our patron, Steve B.
Steve B, he's right there in the comments.
So our patrons, they help us figure out what cover song to do next, because they eventually, 6 months down the road get released to YouTube.
Yeah.
But everyone in the Patreon community helps us figure out what those songs are, and then they kind of just get to keep those songs.
Yeah, they get a 6-month exclusive
6 months,
access. It's like
ahead
half a
of
year.
everyone else.
Half a
Yeah.
year exclusive. People don't do that.
So I mean,
Come
I remember
on.
like that song got released yesterday,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that seems like forever ago.
Yeah,
but then everyone messaged you. They're like, oh, this is so cool. You just did it. And I was like, well, we did it a long time.
We did it a
ago,
long
actually.
time ago.
So that's how all those are.
Yeah, so for as little as $1, it goes a long way. You got early for $5, you're able to get in there and request songs and get these things rolling for us so we can make the new ones. We do the video, produce it every month. Awesome stuff backstage and a monthly call. Go over there and check it out, see if there's something in there for you guys. We're really proud of what we're doing on Patreon, you guys. We really are. So go check it out.
Oh, he had a little comment here where he said, I knew Grandpa's farm from the beginning to the end before I ever put pen to paper. So he had this George Lucas thing.
Yeah.
And you just knew it all and just had to write it down.
Right.
That's really cool when you're like, I have this story, I just got to write it down. That's awesome.
By the way, anybody watching, go check that out. I think you can find it on Amazon, Grandpa's Farm.
Yeah, Steve, you can totally do self-promotion and put the link to that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So that anyone watching this can, go check out your book.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Like you already knew how it went before you even started going, and like that I guess that's very similar in certain ways, to different songs that we've written. I know not all songs have been that way. 'Cause some songs were like, I don't know, man, but I got this thing. But some it's like you just wake up, you're like, I have this song. Mm-hmm. So that's really interesting, man. Thanks for sharing that with us. But I think that's going to do it for us tonight, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning back in. And hold on.
Oh, wait. Making of a 53-Year-Old Idiot is basically a collection of short stories. Each story was kind of like a lightning bolt to the brain, and I had to catch each thought before I lost it.
It's the muse, man. That's what we're talking about. That thing, I know, like, might describe it as some mystical being or whatnot, but that's what we're talking about. Is that thing is given to you. It's like somehow it's delivered. Without you, like you're just like, okay, and you take it.
I think if I ever wrote a book, it would have to be that way.
Yeah.
Because we do prose writing every week in
Yeah.
our blogs, and I know like every once in a while, if I get done with my what's up, and I go, that's really how I feel, then I'll like copy and paste it and I put it in a folder.
Yeah.
So maybe years down the road, I might maybe have a little collection of short stories or something
collection.
that I can release.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being here. We'll be here next Thursday with a fun, interesting topic. You guys rule.
Mm-hmm. Let us know what you want to talk about next.
Yeah. Why do we do this?
Well, we started doing this because we had to just come up with topics to keep each other awake on the road. And it was like the weirder the better, because you could just go down a rabbit hole and talk and learn and stay awake and live another day and not be in a ditch somewhere.
I mean, but be in the parking lot of some truck stop.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Truck stops are better than ditches.
Hey,
Absolutely.
that should be on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love you guys. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you at Oyster Fest, y'all, and see you next Thursday.